Good evening and salutations, my B&B fans. Let's start with Sheila and Lee for a minute. My goodness, it is so exhausting listening to Lee talk, watching her scenes for a couple of different reasons. One, somehow in her mind, she still thinks that she's in control of this situation. Okay? A dangerous inmate, a sociopath, Carter, Sheila Carter, breaks into her place, more or less. And yet she's still mouthing off to her. You need to leave. You need to do this. You need to do that. I'm like, sweetheart, I don't know what world you exist in if you feel you can just snap your fingers and just have her disappear, but that's just not how any of this works. So watching her tell, oh, you're going to get called by the cops and you're going to go back to jail and, I'm his mother and you're not. It's like, Sheila, you have something that you could just incapacitate this woman with because I, I can't with this woman. I really can't. She still blames the Forresters. Oh, well, my son got involved with the Forresters and eventually you came around and it was like, well, somebody who's supposed to be a smart doctor. Did you miss the part in your sentence when you said that Sheila just came around? That means that no matter who Finn was with, Sheila would have came around. But you would have blamed that person too? You would have blamed everything except for Sheila. You want to blame Sheila, that's fine. There's one point where Sheila was like, so you kept him away from, like, Steffi? Like, Steffi doesn't even know? And Sheila was like, and they called me crazy. Like, you're nuts. And I sat there and I laughed. I was like, when the sociopath in the room calls you crazy, you might want to start to just reevaluate your life and your priorities and your way of thinking, because the sociopath called you crazy. And you know what? In some ways, she's right. You kept him away from his family. You blamed his family for a nut job that just happened to give birth to him, came back in his life, and ruined it. But somehow you want to sit there and blame them for it. At some point, they're going back and forth. Because at this point, Sheila's like, yo, you need to take him to a hospital. This little rinky-dink Lego setup that you got going on is not going to really work in a long term, You need to sit there and take him to a hospital. And I'm like, once again, do you think that the sociopath actually has a point? I mean, listen, she told her story about how she saved him and he wanted to go into a different hospital and, they gave up and she brought him back to life and yada, yada, yada. Listen, that's great. Okay? It's all good, all great. You get some stars for that. I don't even like the character, but I'll sit there and say you get a star because you brought him back to life. That's great. She's a doctor. That's great. But you really think that he might actually be more better in an actual hospital, run other doctors that, have different perspectives and may sit there and come up with something that can kind of get him back on his feet or whatever? Just an idea. No? No, you just want to just do what you want to do? Okay. So, at some point, because Ridge calls Lee, and she's about to answer the phone, and she was like, no, don't you dare. I was like, you really think she was, you know what? Never mind. I'm under the impression that this woman's actually using a bit of common sense, like, checking to see who's at the door before opening it up. What am I thinking? So she tries to answer the phone. Sheila says no. They argue for a little bit. Lee's just going off with the mouth like she's still in control of this anything, which is like at this point laughable. And finally, Sheila shuts her up, and I'm just like, it was only so much I can sit there and take of that woman's mouth before I'm just like, maybe I should be drinking something stronger than soda. Maybe I should be drinking something stronger than soda. Now, at this point, before she kept going off with the mouth, Finn started to talk, started to open up his eyes, saw a leaf for like 2 seconds before, Sheila decided to take care of her. Um, and I guess at that point, that's where it ends. Now, Ridge and Taylor didn't really do too much. Ridge is just all pissy and angry. He's all like, how could he let him go and let her go? And granted, I get his anger. I really do. But at some point, we need to kind of be practical. Okay? It's happening. Let's just get past it and see what we can do. Say they talked to Stephanie. They let Stephanie know. And, well, that was pretty much the end of them. Now, let's talk about Sanctimonious Hope and Donna. Because Donna is that they're trying to come with all sorts of reasons of why what she's doing is not that bad and Hope should just keep quiet. In reality, Hope should mind her goddamn business because this is not her business. This really is not her business. Yes, she wants to whine and complain and blah, 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 blah. Lecture after lecture after lecture after lecture after lecture. I'm sitting there looking at my watch and I'm like, how long is this episode? Because I can't take more of the judging. Okay, the judging was just getting on my nerves. I was getting to the point I almost cursed. Because that's just how much she started to irritate me. Giving her lectures and I don't know. I think Donna said something that was so sweet, almost made me throw up in my mouth. And I was like, oh, well, I can see where you're coming from, and it's actually really nice and sweet. I was like, glad I actually have an appetite. Um, and so she's like, I feel like towards the end of the conversation, she was like, listen, I'm not going to say anything right now. I'm going to sit there and talk to Eric, give him a piece of my mind because clearly I'm in a position of life when I can sit there and start judging other people for the mistakes and the sins that they're doing because, why not? Now, while that's going on, you got I don't know, whatever comedy routine that they got going on with Bridget and Quinn about making sure that Eric doesn't overdo it at the gym. So after Eric reassures both of them, hey, listen, I get it. I got some miles on me, okay? Um, as Erica Durant once said, quote unquote, he's bit long in the tooth. Never heard anyone say that, but okay, and that's the chick from Smallville. Um, like, listen, I'll take care of myself. Thank you for stopping by and visiting me and everything like that. And Bridget's like, all right, cool, I gotta go back to work, so bye. And Quinn hugs him and it's like, listen, I just want you around, my faithful, loyal, kind-hearted, non-spiteful, non-spiteful husband. And Eric could just kind of stand there with that, hugs her with the guilt look on his face and looks at the portrait. And I'm just like, bro, why are you looking at the portrait for? You're hugging the woman that you are hurting every time that you decide that you want to go to the club to there's so many dirty jokes that I want to say right now, but I'm just not going to go work on his pickleball game. And this is so stupid. This is so dumb. I mean, it's so proper dumb, so it's good, but it's just like, listen, I don't condone cheating. And I felt like I was going to make a joke, but I'm just not going to. I mean, this is his excuse. Every time he wants to go see Donna, well, I gotta go to the club. I gotta really work on that pickleball game. I just want to make sure. I'm a little older, but I can teach the young. The young is a little trigger too. I just gotta go to the club. I can just imagine it be like 8 o'clock at night, and Rich is like, this gym open 24 hours? Like, what's what's going on? Um, but I feel like that's about it. I gotta sit there and say, after watching GH and after watching B&B, it was so much a relief from Days. I mean, I love that show, but it's just a very dreary story in the beginning, and I'm just like, ugh, not feeling it. I know it's gonna pick up. I know it's gonna pick up. It's just taking a sweet ass time. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know your thoughts on the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video.